Eating artisan bread in a village setting is truly an experience that taps into the simplicity and richness of traditional life. The aroma of freshly baked bread, the rustic surroundings, and the connection to nature all come together to create something special. Here's a picture of what it might be like. Imagine sitting in a cozy kitchen with wooden beams or a simple stone table outside under a tree. The warm, golden glow of the village sun filters through the trees or rustic windows. Around you, there's a sense of peacefulness, maybe the sound of birds or the distant chatter of other villagers. The artisan bread, with its perfectly crisp crust and soft, chewy inside, might still be slightly warm from the oven. Depending on the type of bread, it could be a round bowl with a rustic, slightly sour flavor if made with a sourdough starter, or a hearty, whole grain loaf with a rich, earthy taste. The air is filled with the scent of freshly baked bread, and each slice pulls apart with satisfying tenderness. The bread might be enjoyed in several ways, with butter or olive oil, a slathering of fresh butter or a drizzle of local olive oil, maybe sprinkled with a touch of sea salt. With cheese or meats, in some villages, you might pair your bread with locally made cheese, cured meats, or fresh vegetables from the garden. Dipping in soup or stew. If it's a cooler day, you might dip your bread into a hearty, vegetable-filled soup or rustic stew. Nothing beats the warmth of a bowl with bread to soak up the flavors. With jams or honey, a sweet touch, especially for breakfast, with homemade jam from the village orchards or honey from local beekeepers. Eating artisan bread in a village often has a communal aspect. You might share a loaf with family or neighbors, sitting together, chatting, and savoring each bite slowly. The food is simple, but there's a deep satisfaction in knowing it's made with care and from ingredients that come from the land around you. Whether it's a daily part of life or a special treat, eating artisan bread in a village feels like a celebration of tradition, good company, and the simple pleasures of life. Does this resonate with how you imagine eating bread in such a setting? Would you want to share it with others, or enjoy it more as a personal moment of calm?
How to cook bread outdoors. Baking bread outdoors can be fun and rewarding. You can use a campfire, outdoor oven, or even a Dutch oven to cook bread. Here are a few methods. Campfire baking using a cast iron Dutch oven. Ingredients: use a simple bread dough like the one mentioned earlier. Tools: a Dutch oven with a lid, charcoal or wood for heat, and some aluminum foil. Instructions: prepare your dough as usual. Preheat your Dutch oven by placing it on the campfire with a layer of coals underneath it. Once the Dutch oven is hot, grease it lightly and place your dough inside, covering the lid tightly. Place more hot coals on top of the Dutch oven, making sure to have coals both below and on top for even cooking. Bake for about 30 to 40 minutes, checking periodically. The bread should be golden brown and make a hollow sound when tapped on the bottom. Outdoor pizza oven. If you have a portable wood-fired pizza oven, you can easily bake bread in it, much like a traditional brick oven. Preheat your pizza oven to around 450 degrees Fahrenheit to 130 degrees Celsius. Shape the dough into a loaf or a round bowl. Place the bread in the preheated oven. Bake for 20 to 25 minutes or until the crust is golden and the bread sounds hollow when tapped. Grilling bread using a barbecue or grill. This method works great for flatbreads like naan or pita. Prepare your dough as usual and shape it into smaller, flat pieces. Preheat your grill to medium-high heat. Brush the bread with olive oil or melted butter. Place the flatbread directly on the grill grates. Grill for 2 to 3 minutes on each side until it has nice grill marks and is cooked through. Baking in a hole-in-the-ground traditional method. In some cultures, bread is cooked in an underground pit, which simulates the effect of a traditional wood-fired oven. Dig a shallow hole in the ground and line it with hot coals. Prepare your dough and place it on a flat stone or baking tray. Cover the dough with a lid or large metal sheet. Place hot coals on top and bake for 30 to 45 minutes, using a rock or stone oven for rustic bread. A flat rock or stone can be used to bake flatbreads or smaller loaves. Heat a large, flat stone or rock over your campfire or stove. Place your dough directly onto the heated stone or wrap it in foil to prevent it from sticking. Cover the stone with a pot or lid to trap heat and bake for 10 to 15 minutes.
Types of bread. White bread, made from refined wheat flour. It has a soft texture and light color. Whole wheat bread, made from whole wheat flour. This bread is denser and has a richer flavor than white bread. Sourdough, a tangy, slightly sour bread made from naturally fermented dough using wild yeast and bacteria. Rye bread, made primarily from rye flour. It can be dense and has a slightly earthy flavor. Rye bread can also be sourdough style. Baguette, a long, thin loaf of French bread with a crisp crust and soft inside. Ciabatta, an Italian bread known for its airy, open crumb and crispy crust. Focaccia, a flat, olive oil-rich Italian bread often topped with herbs and sometimes other ingredients like olives or tomatoes. Naan, a soft, leavened flatbread popular in Indian cuisine, often cooked in a tandoor oven. Pita, a round, flatbread from the Middle East, often pocketed, perfect for stuffing with fillings like falafel or shawarma. Brioche, is sweet, buttery, and soft French bread that is rich and slightly sweet. Multigrain bread, a bread made from multiple types of grains like oats, barley, or millet, which makes it heartier and more nutritious. English muffin, a small, round, flat bread that's often sliced horizontally and toasted, commonly served for breakfast. Pretzel, a type of bread that is twisted into a knot shape and often boiled in a baking soda solution before being baked to get a dark, crispy crust. Banana bread, a sweet, quick bread made with ripe bananas, often flavored with spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. Zopf, a Swiss-style braided bread that is slightly sweet and made with milk and butter.
Here's a simple recipe for making easy bread at home. This method doesn't require kneading, and you'll get a soft, delicious loaf. Ingredients: 3 cups all-purpose flour, 1½ teaspoons salt, 1 teaspoon sugar, 2 teaspoons active dry yeast, 1¼ cups warm water about 110 degrees Fahrenheit per 45 degrees Celsius, 2 tablespoons olive oil optional for added softness. Instructions: activate the yeast in a small bowl, combine the warm water and sugar. Sprinkle the yeast on top and stir gently. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes until it becomes frothy. Mix dry ingredients. In a large bowl, whisk together the flour and salt. Combine the wet and dry ingredients. Add the yeast mixture and olive oil if using into the flour mixture. Stir until a sticky dough forms. Let the dough rise, cover the bowl with a damp cloth or plastic wrap and let the dough rise in a warm place for about 1 to 1.5 hours or until it doubles in size. Shape the dough. After the dough has risen, punch it down gently to release air bubbles. Shape it into a loaf by folding the sides in and rolling it up. Second rise, place the dough into a greased loaf pan or on a baking sheet. Cover again and let it rise for about 30 minutes until it has risen slightly. Preheat the oven. While the dough is rising, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, 190 degrees Celsius. Bake. Bake the bread in the preheated oven for 25 to 30 minutes or until the top is golden brown and the loaf sounds hollow when tapped on the bottom. Cool and serve. Let the bread cool on a wire rack before slicing. Enjoy your easy homemade bread. You can spread butter or jam on it or use it for sandwiches. Get smarter responses, upload files and images.